This was premeditated and an admitted lie. They knew they were doing this going into it.
Anytime we get any look at the Biden financial portrait, it's not good.
Hunter instigated this child support case. You really have to wonder if the White House was consulted at all.
We make stories about the fact that Hunter Biden has a drug problem. Hunter Biden has an illegal child problem. Hunter Biden has a tax problem. Hunter Biden has a not paying his child support problem. When in fact, what we actually have is a Biden problem in this country, and it's thanks to programs like this that help tell the real story.
The younger Biden attended an embarrassing court hearing in Arkansas about child support payments for an illegitimate daughter he fathered that he and his family want nothing to do with. There are also new revelations about the deep state intelligence community and how they banded together during the 2020 campaign to write a public letter falsely claiming Hunter Biden's laptop was just Russian disinformation. Joining us now is Eric Eggers, an investigative reporter from the Government Accountability Institute and co-host of the Drill Down podcast. Welcome back to Centerpoint, Eric.
Hey, Mark. Great to be here. Thank you.
So when you look at the newest information, there was an email obtained by John Solomon that actually shows how two formerly high-placed leaders in the CIA worked together to discredit this the laptop with no evidence that it was Russian disinformation.
No, it's incredibly stunning, and I think the only thing you can say is, of course, they thought they'd get away with it because they did it 4 years ago. Remember, the Hillary Clinton campaign just fabricated out of thin air the idea that Donald Trump was a Russian agent and then used intelligence assets to perpetuate the Steele dossier, which was then breathlessly reported by the media in an effort to discredit Donald Trump's campaign. So why wouldn't they try the same playbook again? We now know, actually, because of an article written in the Columbia Journalism Review, that the Clinton campaign did that because of reporting we've done at the Government Accountability Institute that showed Hillary Clinton's own vulnerabilities as it relates to her connections to Russia. So it doesn't shock me that Joe Biden, who is himself obligated and potentially compromised because of his son's connections to China, would try to do something similar. And so, of course, it's incredibly just profoundly problematic that they would do it. And the worst part is, Mark, they got away with it because we're only now learning about it in 2023 when the news should have been on this 3 years ago instead of actively working with social media to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story before the election when it would have mattered.
You know, there was one point made by the retired FBI intelligence chief by the name of Kevin Brock who said this was premeditated and an admitted lie. They knew they were doing this going into it.
No, it's absolutely true. Of course they knew they could get away with it. They knew they were lying, but like, who cares? They were all sort of corrupted by the anything but Trump. The idea that Donald Trump was this existential threat to the deep state, the swamp state, made anything okay. That's why the Clinton campaign thought that fabricating a Steele dossier would be okay. It's why that the intelligence agency thought it would be fine to work with Silicon Valley to suppress information that should have mattered in November of 2020. And it's why the media was totally fine, not just to suppress information, but to actively censor anybody that wanted to talk about the stories that mattered. Remember, Mark, I mean, this is insane. We have the son of the president of the United States who's entered into a $1 billion+ joint capital deal with the nation of China. And so rather than view anything that happens in the Biden administration through that context, we make stories about the fact that Hunter Biden has a drug problem. Hunter Biden has an illegal child problem. Hunter Biden has a tax problem. Hunter Biden has a not paying his child support problem. When in fact, what we actually have is a Biden problem in this country. And it's thanks to programs like this that help tell the real story.
You know, one of the things, and we talk about the 51 intelligence officials who signed this letter, including John Brennan, who signed it having never even read the letter. He just went with it. But I think something has got to be pointed out. You had the former National Security Director, Mike Rogers, and the former CIA Moscow Bureau Chief, Daniel Hoffman, who refused to sign that letter because they said there was no evidence that they had seen that pointed it to being Russian disinformation.
No, I'm glad that the entire intelligence community isn't entirely in the tank for the Biden administration. Thank God there's some people who actually still have moral authority and the courage of their convictions. And it's nice to know that some intelligence assets actually still require what's called actual intelligence before signing off on a letter that suggests something that's not true. I wish it was as easy to get something signed by my parents when I wanted to miss a day of school, Mark, because apparently all you have to do is say, hey, we need you to sign this, and most intelligence agencies will do so. It's actually one of the more galling revelations that have happened this week in the constant cycle of troubling news regarding Hunter Biden, the Biden administration, and the way in which big tech and big media conspire to keep his campaign and presidency afloat.
You know, one of the things that has come from this is that there's been a lot of discussion that we need to reform our intelligence apparatus, also how we deal with former intelligence officials, because any of them can make wild claims and hide behind the intelligence behind it, where no one can get that, no one can call them out for being wrong. Do you see that as something that might actually come from this?
I always try to be optimistic, Mark, and I always try to be honest with the viewers of this program. But I doubt it. I don't think, because there have been no consequences, a lack of accountability, and it's not just that the intelligence agencies are able to, and the intelligence analysts are able to hide behind the intelligence, it's that they're able to be protected and in fact celebrated by the big tech forces that then kind of do their bidding. Remember, the reason why the Hunter Biden laptop story was actively suppressed and labeled Russian disinformation in October 2020 was because a couple of rogue FBI agencies told Twitter and told Facebook that it was so. In fact, they didn't even say that. They said, hey, this fits the mold of the kind of thing we might be on the lookout for. And that was enough for a liberal big tech industrial complex to go ahead and said, hey, we'll do whatever it takes to keep this Trump guy from getting reelected. And so that's what happened. And so that's one of the reasons why you see these intelligence agencies and intelligence analysts feel so empowered, feel so emboldened, because they have so many allies in big tech, social media, and the traditional media as well.
You know, one of the other areas where information is coming out about the Bidens is the clash between Hunter Biden's legal team and the White House. And when you look at the fact that Hunter instigated this child support case, you really have to wonder if the White House was consulted at all, because it doesn't seem like it's going to go well for them.
No, I think it's an unforced error on the Hunter Biden team, and it shows that there is a growing rift, as Axios has reported, between Hunter Biden's legal team and the White House, because in no world would the White House want Republican lawyers to have access to Hunter Biden's finances, which is now what's going to happen because Hunter Biden's working to try to lower his child support payments. Now, putting aside the fact that you're going to sort of poor mouth the idea that you can make child support payments when you're paying $850 an hour for a powerhouse Beltway attorney, as Hunter Biden is, the fact that Republican lawyers can now take a look and see, as the Arkansas judge has permitted, hey, who's buying your art? And how much are they paying for it? That's not something that even the House Oversight Committee has had access to, but this Republican judge has said that the Republican lawyers can do. And so I think this will actually only add to the idea that Hunter Biden might have a tax problem. This will also actually only add to further insight into the whole corrupt Biden family financial scheme, with Joe Biden, of course, being at the center of it. And so I think it's about time we have a full look at something that we know includes, remember, Hunter Biden and his uncles are part of 5 business transactions with Chinese military officials worth up to $31 million. So anytime we get any look at the Biden financial portrait, it's not good. It's not the kind of thing Hunter would want to sell in Manhattan, but I think it's definitely the kind of thing that House Oversight Committee members would want to take a look at. And because of Hunter Biden's decision to try to lower his child support payments, it's actually a chance that America might now finally get a look at it. And I think it's going to be very important to the investigation.
Eric Eggers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.